Hello, intrepid travelers. Welcome to Euthenia Travels, where we explore the most fascinating and contentious corners of the world. In this gripping documentary, we delve into the tumultuous history and volatile present of the Gaza Strip, a war-torn region caught in the crosshairs of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. From the devastating impact of airstrikes and ground invasions to the courageous resilience of the Palestinian people, this is a story of struggle, survival, and hope. To begin our journey, we must first understand the complex geopolitical landscape of the Gaza Strip, a thin strip of land measuring just 41 kilometers in length and 6 to 12 kilometers in width. Despite its small size, the Gaza Strip has long been at the center of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, with both sides claiming ownership and sovereignty over the region. Since Israel's occupation of Gaza in 1967, the area has been plagued by violence, poverty, and political instability, making it one of the most volatile and dangerous places on earth. At the heart of the conflict in Gaza is the ongoing struggle between Israel and Hamas, the militant organization that governs the region. Founded in 1987, Hamas is a Sunni Islamist political organization that is officially designated as a terrorist group by many countries, including the United States and Israel. The group advocates for the destruction of the State of Israel and the creation of a Palestinian state in its place, and has carried out numerous acts of violence and terror in pursuit of these goals. For many Palestinians, the struggle against Israeli occupation is a daily reality, as they face frequent border closures, restrictions on movement, and limited access to basic resources such as food, water, and medical care. This has led to widespread poverty and despair in Gaza, with many Palestinians living in overcrowded refugee camps and struggling to survive in the face of economic sanctions and blockades. Despite the grim realities of life in Gaza, the Palestinian people have shown remarkable resilience in the face of adversity, with many finding ways to celebrate their culture and heritage despite the ongoing conflict. One of the most devastating consequences of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been the high number of civilian casualties on both sides. Since 2008, there have been 3 major Israeli military operations in Gaza, which have resulted in thousands of Palestinian deaths and injuries, as well as widespread damage to homes, schools, hospitals, and other vital infrastructure. On the other hand, Hamas and other Palestinian militant groups have carried out numerous rocket attacks on Israeli cities and towns, killing and injuring both civilians and soldiers. In recent years, there have been attempts to broker a lasting peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinian Authority, but these efforts have largely failed due to deep-seated mistrust and political divisions on both sides. Many Palestinians argue that Israel's settlement expansion in the West Bank, the continued blockade of Gaza, and the lack of progress towards a two-state solution have made it impossible to achieve a lasting peace. Meanwhile, many Israelis argue that Hamas's refusal to recognize Israel's right to exist and its continued use of terror tactics make it impossible to reach a lasting agreement. Despite the ongoing conflict, there have been glimmers of hope and moments of solidarity in Gaza. In 2018, thousands of Palestinians gathered at the Gaza border fence for a series of weekly protests known as the Great March of Return. The protests were peaceful, with many Palestinians calling for an end to the Israeli blockade and the right of return for Palestinian refugees. While the protests were met with lethal force by Israeli troops, with many Palestinians killed or injured, the demonstrations drew international attention and highlighted the plight of the Palestinian people in Gaza. One of the most striking aspects of life in Gaza is the resilience and strength of its people in the face of adversity. In the midst of the conflict, Palestinian families continue to raise children, celebrate weddings, and mourn the loss of loved ones. Despite the hardships they face, many Palestinians remain hopeful that one day they will be able to live in peace and security, with a viable state of their own. The toll of the conflict on the mental health and well-being of Gaza's residents is another critical concern. Trauma, grief, and anxiety are widespread in Gaza, with many Palestinians suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and other mental health issues. In a survey conducted in 2018, more than half of Gazan children reported experiencing nightmares, bedwetting, and other symptoms of distress, highlighting the devastating impact of the conflict on Gaza's youngest generation. While the future of Gaza remains uncertain, there are signs of progress and hope in some areas. In recent years, Gaza's tech sector has shown signs of growth and innovation, with many young Palestinians launching startups and developing new products and services. In addition, international aid organizations and NGOs have worked tirelessly to provide humanitarian assistance and support to Gazans in need, helping to alleviate some of the suffering caused by the conflict. Despite these efforts, much remains to be done to address the root causes of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and find a lasting solution that respects the rights and dignity of both Israelis and Palestinians. While the political situation in Gaza remains volatile and uncertain, there is one thing that cannot be denied: the beauty and vibrancy of Palestinian culture. From the colorful embroidery of Palestinian dresses to the rich flavors of Palestinian cuisine, the Palestinian people have preserved their traditions and identity despite decades of conflict and displacement. Music, poetry, and storytelling are also important aspects of Palestinian culture, with many artists and writers using their work to express their hopes, dreams, and struggles. Despite the challenges they face, many Palestinians continue to pursue education and professional development, with many young people studying at universities and working in a variety of fields. However, the blockade of Gaza has severely limited the ability of Palestinians to travel and access resources, making it difficult for many to pursue higher education or find employment opportunities outside the Gaza Strip. Despite these obstacles, Palestinians continue to strive for a better future for themselves and their families, holding on to their dreams of peace, justice, and freedom. The story of the Gaza Strip is one of struggle, resilience, and hope. Despite decades of conflict, displacement, and hardship, the Palestinian people have remained steadfast in their pursuit of a better future. As we reflect on the events that have shaped this tumultuous region, we are reminded of the power of the human spirit and the strength of the human bond. In the face of adversity, the Palestinian people have found strength in their culture, their traditions, and their love for one another.